Much as this probably should be basic knowledge, it is something that I realize that people have misconceptions about, and it's something that we see run rife in society today. So I am here to actually discuss and dissect it and remind you all that ultimately hashtag YouTube is not a babysitter, nor was it ever designed to be one. As always, I am Cynical Apex Commentaries, and without further ado, let's get right into this little discussion, shall we? First of all, it must be said that the issue in regards to role models and celebrities isn't just isolated to YouTube or social media in general. In fact, we see it more with celebrities and sports stars and actors and actresses in general, and how most people think that their ethics and morals are some sort of code that you should follow if you are a child, or in the case of a parent, that their children should use as role models instead of just being like heroes or actually things there to entertain them and to sort of be there to, in the end of the day, burn time. Sorry, I mean at the end of the day, burn time and sort of give you some cheap, almost lower common denominator to an extent, sort of entertainment, which is what they are meant to do. They are not there to sort of impart wisdom. They are not there to be a moral compass to which your child should be looking at. Or to, well, anybody, not just children, but adults alike seem to fall into the rabbit hole or the trap of hero worship and using them as sort of a heroic figure that they can sort of pursue the dreams of, to sort of want to be like, and use as sort of a compass of morality. It's almost like, hey, if X believes this, then that's what I must believe too. And that's what we see a lot when it comes to celebrity cultures and also on YouTube, which is one of the main reasons why I think people have such an uproar about pranks, even though they are obviously fake and obviously dramatized for entertainment purposes. People have this skewed belief that morality and being a role model is key, and that is also why people somewhat try to push the family friendly agenda. Well, that's actually YouTube that's pushing that agenda. And yes, I get it. You want content that is suitable to all ages, to all walks of life. However, you shouldn't be trying to force influencers or celebrities to be something that they were never designed to be. To be in a position where they are trying to be a moral compass when that is not what they are. When their morals, their beliefs are specific to their circumstances alone, to what they have experienced, not what you or your family have experienced or what your child has experienced. And yes, experiences do play a role in guiding compasses and guiding morality. You can't deny that at all. We see that every time. Like, people will believe a certain thing because it resonates to them based off what they have experienced, based off issues that are pertinent to them and their lives. And that is something that should be looked at when you actually discuss this sort of thing. It's like, well, something might seem immoral to you objectively, to them it might actually seem objectively moral, as after all, the world isn't necessarily one black and white concept. You can't necessarily definitively say something is right and wrong. Sure, there are laws, there are also moral ethics that have to be considered with this sort of thing that do sort of help put people to account and hold people accountable for actions that contravene those laws or those guidelines. However, there is always that shade of grey. There is always that issues lying under the surface where something that may have seemed immoral may not have actually been as immoral as believed, or at least it might actually be justifiable in the grand scheme of things when you're looking at it from an ethical standpoint. But it all varies from person to person. Like what might be moral to you, as I've said before, might be immoral to me. We don't know unless we actually gather around and discuss sort of that ethical element of things and come to sort of what people would call a common ground, or at least something that is verifiable or something that both parties can agree with, what most would call a common compromise. And that is what people seem to neglect, is that you can compromise when it comes to issues of morality. You can at least understand where someone comes from when they say, hey, I actually believe this might be a little more moral or a little more accurate or at least ethical than what you are assuming it to be. And that you might need to look at it in more of a scope of a shade of grey lens rather than being rigid. And yes, I get it. People are by the books. People can be by the books. People can have a very, very rigid ethical and moral compass. However, you have to have some form of flexibility. Now, celebrities and sports stars will try to teach you certain things, and it's fine to have them sort of as an inspiration of sorts, but don't use them as being sort of an educational tool. Just like television, it's fine to like TV shows, it's fine to even be a huge fan of them and buy their merch or buy DVDs of the show, but don't use that to guide your influence on life. Don't use that to guide your morality or to try to teach you what is ethical or what is not ethical in the grand scheme of things. As if you do that, all you are doing is walking down a rabbit hole which even you cannot fully comprehend. Finding yourself confronting concepts and your own sense of morality that not even you understand the greater depth of, that you don't even have a firm grasp on because you have allowed others to paint your canvas for you, to sort of make the construct morally and cause you to almost be a sculpture of what they wanted rather than your own individual person. Now, who should be your role models, as I have discussed why you shouldn't be using social media, television, or even sports as a role model? That answer is actually really simple. Your only true role models are your parents, as it should always have been, as it should never have been in doubt. They are the ones who are raising you each and every day. They are the ones that when you were younger, in the case of an adult who is having questions about role models or ethics, they are the ones who showed you what is ethical and what is moral, at least to them. They are the, they are the ones that brought you into this earth and at least gave you the base from which you should follow when it comes to morals or ethics. At least that's what they were supposed to do. Now, we all know that there are some parents that don't necessarily do that, that see television, that see YouTube as being sort of an educational babysitter, which it is not, as I have said here before. You should not be using them in order to try and as an educational moral tool when their main purpose on this planet is to entertain. That is why you will see YouTubers go over the top and do things that are considered immoral and do things that aren't necessarily ethically correct. It is because their purpose is to entertain. They are not there to take care or educate your children necessarily. In fact, it is quite the opposite. If they didn't have the weight on their shoulder, if they didn't have children watching them, maybe they would actually feel like they had more freedom, that they have more room to actually do the sort of content that they want, to sort of take the edginess and use that more to their advantage rather than having to be tame due to the whole family friendly agenda that people pushing, or well, YouTube's pushing when it comes to advertisers and stuff like that. Whilst I do agree with that, I do think you have to have a certain sort of baseline when it comes to entertainment in order to make it family friendly, or at least make it so that children can watch your content without necessarily being submerged within stuff that is more mature or in orientation. I also feel like you can't necessarily stymie what the entertainers want to do. And this isn't just on YouTube. This is the entertainment industry in general. I don't think you should be allowing yourself to become gridlocked or stifled creatively just because you feel like you have to fit a certain mold, or that you have to pigeon yourself into a certain category that may not suit the level of content that you wanted to do, or the depth of content that you wanted to do. And that is where the parents come in. The parents need to be the ones to decide whether or not they want their children to be immersed within that sort of entertainment, or whether or not they want them to be more into like the whole family friendly, or even entertainment that is more suitable for their age range as judged by the parents themselves. The parents are the ones that are supposed to be leading by example, as children are more inherently going to follow the example that is set in front of them each and every day, whether that is by the parents themselves, as it should be, or whether or not the parents allow them to walk into the rabbit hole that is entertainment industry celebrity-led influence in regards to their whole entire life. And so no, YouTube is not a babysitter. The parents are the ones that are supposed to keep tabs on their children and moderate each and every little thing they do, at least to the point where they have grown up and can understand what is right and what is wrong from a moral or ethical standpoint, especially in those formative years. Anyway, that's all I have for now in regards to that, as once again, the parents are supposed to be the role models, even if they don't see themselves as being that and feel like YouTube is supplementary. It's not meant to. The parents are the sole babysitters, so to speak, in this. But anyway, let's get talking about the next video. It will more than likely be up on Friday, but there might also be a bonus video, as I said on Twitter, once again, at Cynical Comments if you wish to follow me there. There might be a bonus video on Saturday if I have time to record and film and edit it. But for now, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you so choose to. And I will see you all on the next video. Bye bye.